Good evening, puny mortals, and welcome to Nerdgasm, your source for everything nerd, news, comics, and entertainment. This week, I'll lend my genius intellect to cover the all-powerful, amazing, godlike villains. So step over, posh heroes, it's time to wreak some havoc. We'll check in on the latest Suicide Squad leaks, take a look at the top 5 villains of all time, and our tiny, insignificant, meek, lowly nerds will debate who's the more proficient Joker, Nicholson or Ledger. We'll also visit those insufferable do-gooders at Big B Comics for shop talk and ask, can a hero ever exist without its most heinous, terrible, infamous villain? But first, some news. The footage obtained for us exclusively was captured by some insignificant human in Toronto. In the footage, we see a black armored vehicle chasing the Joker's purple sports car. We can only assume that the armored vehicle is the all-new Batmobile, confirming that Batman will make an appearance in the film. I suppose Affleck showing up in Toronto wasn't a coincidence after all. Confirmed by the Al Sahim episode, Damien Dark will be part of next season on Arrow. As for now, there's not much known about what is to be done with the character other than he and Ra's al Ghul are having issues with each other. If the trend continues, Arrow will be on air in October on the CW. DC's menagerie of villains had their new logo. With the title in red and bright and riddled with bullet holes, the incorporation of the gun and target, the film has stayed true to the comics so far. The logo was on display at Licensing Expo in 2015 in Las Vegas. Still on the topic of Suicide Squad, Will Smith has been spotted doing his own stunts for the film, rappelling off a building in Toronto. Suicide Squad will continue shooting until September, and it's slated for its release August 2016. Now it's time for Shop Talk with Dylan Routledge on dynamics between heroes and their villains. Really? Fine, just roll the clip.
Completely agree. It's that whole argument where you can't have good without evil, you know. If there was no such thing as like the textbook definition of good, there would be no textbook definition of evil. The two need each other, and that's part of what makes the whole dynamic of those two characters so interesting, you know. The dichotomy of those characters and how they kind of play off of each other is what keeps fans coming back for more. They just recently, actually, they just wrapped up a storyline with Batman versus Joker. And over the last few years, they've kind of played with the idea of basically the Joker being in love with Batman, and that's why he keeps coming after him. And just recently, they kind of inverted that whole idea, and it's, no, I don't love you, actually, I completely loathe and hate you, our game's finished. I would love to see them try new and different directions, like I was just talking about with all the storylines they're doing. You know, the main thing we always see with them is how they're codependent on each other, and Joker's just the far side of being, you know, of insanity, and Batman's the side of justice, and how those sides clash. So just to see actors do that well on the big screen is always rewarding to see. It's always fun to see. We saw that relationship with Christian Bale and Heath Ledger back in The Dark Knight a few years ago, and now with Ben Affleck and Jared Leto playing Batman and Joker respectively over the next few years. It's going to be interesting to see how those two actors mesh together and what they bring to the table, because you're going to need to see a different type of Joker now, right? People have this preconceived notion of how the Joker should be portrayed. So to keep fans interested, they kind of have to go in a new direction, and it's exciting as like longtime comic fans or like fans of the old 1990s Batman animated series. That seems to be where they're probably going to take the Joker on the big screen over the next few years. You know, mellow out the insanity, but still keep him crazy, and add some humor to the character.
Finally, now we can get on to more important things. Honestly, enough of those insufferable heroes. We all know who the true stars of the comic book industry are. That's right, the villains, the adversaries, the foils, the geniuses of crime. Please, be honest with yourself. You didn't go see The Dark Knight for that gutter throat Christian Bale, did you? Of course not. Who's the coolest character in the Star Wars films? Well, it isn't Luke Panty-Waist Skywalker now, is it? And the only reason anyone wants to see the Jurassic World is to watch dinosaurs eat people. Well then, let's move on to the most wonderful part of the show, the one segment that truly stands above the rest. Other segments cower in fear when they hear its name. It's time for the top 5 villains of all time. Lex Luthor is an absolute legend.
He's the arch rival of Superman, a billionaire who went for wealth, power, and glory. He is the only human other than that bat punk who is able to stand against the Man of Steel. His genius alone stumped the Kryptonian more than once. That alone wins him a spot in my top 5 list. With Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor set to take on Superman and Batman next year, we're certainly in for a treat from the self-professed smartest man on Earth, proving that not all humans are a complete and utter waste of resources.
So long, Superman.
Being known as Loki, god of mischief and chaos, there is no way I couldn't have him on my list. Loki is a Norse god and the adopted brother of Thor, god of thunder, who he considers his arch-nemesis. Stolen from his frost giant father and promised the throne of Asgard, Loki has had it in for his brother ever since the Lord of Thunder earned the love of his all-father Odin. This trickster has been a thorn in the side of the Marvel Universe for years, even being able to hold his own against the mighty Avengers. But the biggest reason Loki is on my list, he's actually been able to complete his goal and take charge of Asgard, if only for a while. This is why the Norse god makes our list as a number 4.
You will all fall before me.
Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi trained in the way of the Force at a young age. He displayed the most potential out of anyone. He was believed to be the chosen one, meant to bring a balance to the Force, and he did just that, helping annihilate the Jedi, including the younglings, which is downright evil. He decimated the Jedi, falling only to his master Obi-Wan Kenobi. With the Force-wielding knight destroyed, he took the prophecy that the foolish Jedi gave him and threw it right back in their face, bringing decades of war, glory, and the name of the Empire. Being most deserving, Lord Vader force chokes his way to number 3 on our list of villains.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
As far as villains go, Magneto might be a little altruistic when it comes to his mutant brethren. He created the Brotherhood of Mutants to ensure the rise of mutant kind at all cost. That is the kind of severity I can get behind. Though he has his hiccup along the way, he's become a member and leader of the X-Men for all time. But the path of the perceived villain has always called him back. His powers allow him to control and manipulate any metal he desires, and he has shown the leadership skill on both sides of the mutant debate. Though he has always been an extremist when it comes to mutant rights, he's taken a step to full-fledged villainy when he paralyzed his best friend Charles Xavier. Magneto fights to bring mutants to the top of the sapient food chain as a superior race. The human race is far beneath him, and his persuasiveness and resilience has made him number 2 on our list.
That remarkable metal doesn't run through your entire body, does it?
Truly a legend among villains, the Joker is the arch-rival to the Batman. No one knows when the Joker came to be, but one of the origins begins when he teamed up with the mobsters to break into a chemical plant he used to work at. During the break-in, Batman had attempted to stop him and his partners in crime when he accidentally knocks him into a vat of chemicals, permanently dyeing his hair green, bleaching his skin, and he got big red lips, giving him a clown-like appearance. Once he managed to escape from the chemical plant, he left a better man, and by that I mean absolutely insane. He became the Joker we all know and love, the manipulative, sociopathic clown. Regardless of his origins and despite my hatred for humans, it's easily put the Joker on my number 1 spot because he has no humanity left.
Why so serious?
Do you disagree? Then you must withhold your thoughts from my opinion prevails over all others. If you agree with me, then it's valid and totally correct. Congratulations. Feel free to argue with each other in the comments below like the trite filth you are, or pledge your loyalty to me on Twitter. Use hashtag NerdgasmTop5 and tell me that you agreed with the list. And vote for next week. We want to know what underrated hero you would like to see on the big screen. If you get lucky, maybe you'll have a tragic ending. And now, time for Basement of Debates. Whether you love Mark Hamill, Cesar Romero, or you're looking forward to a new interpretation from Jared Leto, the Joker has graced the big screen and the small screen for decades, and each actor has brought something different to the table. But when it comes to the best Joker, the two that immediately come to mind are Jack Nicholson from the Tim Burton 1989 classic, and Heath Ledger, who returned the iconic villain to the masses in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. On the side of the one and only Jack Nicholson is Val Boniface, and on the side of the equally talented Heath Ledger is Kyle Pike. debaters. Are you ready? Remember, this debate is a debate to the death. Firstly, I love all incarnations of Mr. J, but how does he compare from the movie version to the comic book version?
Jack Nicholson nails the Joker from the comic books into the adaptation to the film. He is the Joker. He's funny and he's crazy, and you kind of get this off-putting feeling from his performance, which is exactly what you want.
But with Heath Ledger, what he does is he knows that what works on the comics doesn't necessarily work on the big screen. So what he does is he tries to make his own character, he tries to make his own Joker rather than imitating what's been done before. So he goes up there, he gives this brand new performance, this kind of less gag type of villain and more of this manipulative, sociopathic type villain that we can believe exists in the real world.
But then again, you don't really want that kind of criminal mindsy feel. Like, we understand that sociopaths exist and we get that that's part of who the Joker is, but the more important part of who the Joker is that you can still laugh at him.
There's been so many Jokers before, and there'll be more after. After all, he's such a wonderful character. How would you say they compare to Jokers before in similarities and differences?
Well, the Batman film from 1989 was the first of its kind. Like, it was the first real dark Batman / crazy lunatic Joker that we've ever seen. Like, audiences were just amazed at what kind of film it was turning out to be. It was the first thing that they'd seen since Adam West.
Well, you see, with Heath Ledger, we had never seen him in that particular role. We've only seen him as the charming hero, as like the romantic comedy, like kind of star. But no, with this one, it was his first time playing the villain, and everyone, when he was first cast, everyone was upset. They were like, this is going to be a horrible Batman movie, what are they doing? They're ruining it. But the moment he got on screen, everyone loved it.
What about his origin stories? It's been argued and retconned by nerds over the years.
Heath Ledger just doesn't have an origin story in The Dark Knight. You have no idea where he came from. You have no idea what his attachment is to the Batman. And in the original Batman film, you have the Joker creating Batman and Batman creating the Joker. Equally, they need each other to exist.
How do you think it's changed from, interpretation to interpretation with Batman and Joker relationships?
You get the whole origin story, the whole Joker made Batman, Batman made Joker, and then they're kind of on both sides kind of struggling with that relationship, and you see that develop through the film. You see that and you get what you want in terms of audience.
But with Heath Ledger, what you get is, it's not necessarily they create each other, but they need each other. Batman says something along the lines of, it's like, do you want me to kill you? And he says, or no, are you trying to kill me?
Okay, nerds, enough. I can't hear another thing about the Batman. Joker's fine on his own. Enough of this. Finally, they quit their mindless rambling. Well, we'll get to see you next week on... Hold on just a second. How did a mere mortal like yourself escape the ropes of Armageddon? I used to be a Girl Scout. No matter. As you can see, I've taken over this human broadcast studio, and I will take over until the end of time. I don't think so. See you next week on Nerdgasm.